Hey everybody, I'm John Granato. You can hear me mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. That's Josh Jordan. You can hear him on Moneyline weekends on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. And he also is the editor of SportsMapHouston.com. Press subscribe so that you get all of our content right here at SportsMap HOU. Hey Josh, with the Carlos Correa debate raging online, Jim Crane's taking a lot of heat from fans who want him to re-sign Correa. I get that. Now, despite carrying the fourth highest payroll in the major leagues, you don't have to look too hard to find people online calling Crane cheap. I think that is totally unfair. Is Jim Crane the most criminally underappreciated owner in Houston sports history? I think the answer is yes.
I'm with you, John. To me, it's how Crane did it. I mean, this organization was in disarray when he took it over. I mean, the farm system had been ripped apart. You know, Drayton didn't want to pay for good scouts, so that the farm system, there wasn't a whole lot there. They changed everything, too, with the Astros, from the uniforms to the broadcast team. Like, they switched everything up, and it all worked out. I think they were all great moves. And, I mean, you just didn't see that with the Texans. They've had the same uniforms forever, and it's all same football time in Houston, and they don't realize that sometimes you need a rebrand, especially if it hasn't been good. And look what Jim Crane built. Brings in Jeff Luhnow. They win a World Series, and they go to the ALCS almost every single year. And I give it to Jim Crane, man. And one of the biggest reasons I do is I think you had Jim Crane on after the Astros almost got Zach Britton, right?
Yep.
And the Orioles backed out at the last second. And Jeff Luhnow was taking a lot of heat for that. And Jim Crane came on with you and said, like, hey, that's not Jeff's fault. The owner with the Orioles, he backed out at the last minute. And Jim Crane was taking bullets for Jeff Luhnow. Cal McNair, they probably went in and said, hey, we're trading Hopkins. And he was like, who? Like, we're trading for Hopkins? No, he's on our team already, Cal. Okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, Jim Crane is invested in this baseball team and knows what's going on.
Well, and just this week, Cal was asked about, Deshaun in the trade, and he said, "Oh, that's not my job. That's Nick Caserio's." And I'm glad though. I'm really glad that Cal's out of that. If you want to know the truth, I'm glad. Just stay out of that picture and let Nick do his job. I just think Jim Crane has been the best owner we've ever seen here. I mean, we went through those Drayton years. I can't speak. I was here for Bud Adams, and that was awful. Bob McNair, God bless, God rest his soul. He was couldn't be a better gentleman and everything else. But he had his problems finding the right leadership, and now we see turning it over to Cal was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to any organization, any professional sports organization, ever. Turning it over to Cal. So it's, Jim Crane, he's hands down the best owner. And it is just wrong to call him cheap, because he is anything but cheap. That dude is spending money in what is considered a mid-level market here as city of Houston versus the bigger markets, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. And he's spending that money with those guys. And so it's criminal to be criticizing him for being cheap.
No, I totally agree. Paying Verlander, bringing over Greinke at the deadline, no problem. We'll pay for that. Jim Crane's been great about it. I mean, people look at George Springer, but that might have been the right move. Yeah. You can't keep everybody.
Somebody pays Carlos Correa $300 million. Sorry. I agree. You know what? That is the right move. Do not give him $300 million over 10 years, because that is just going to up all the waters for you got Ordon, you got Bregman, you got guys that Tucker. I mean, you got guys that are coming up that you got to play. Garcia's Framber's gonna get money, so you just can't do that. Carlos was asked about leaving, and he said it's not up to him, it's up to Jim Crane. I don't think that's fair. You know what? Carlos might be subverting fan criticism for when he doesn't re-sign here. That's just not fair for Carlos to do that, I don't feel like.
I mean, it's a savvy move for him with the fan base. I get it. it's easy to blame the really rich guys for not scratching the check. So, it makes sense for Carlos. He's given himself the best chance to get the most money he can. I can't blame him for that. But no, that's not Jim Crane's fault. You have to find a deal that makes sense for the team and a deal that makes sense for Carlos. So I'm not putting that on Jim Crane. He's done so many great things for the Astros. I mean, every year as a fan, you've got something really great to root for. And you're right, there's more great players coming up. They have to have more payroll. They can't commit it all to Carlos. And I know you're a big proponent of adding some pitching this offseason. You can't do that if you give Carlos all the money.
No. And look, I love Carlos. You don't often see the number one overall pick, and he's playing well for a good team that does pay money. If it was the A's or the Royals, they let great guys go all the time. It's hard. This is a hard thing. You don't often see this out of a big organization, but it's the right thing. It really is. You cannot give that. We have seen all these 10-year deals, and they just never, ever work out, ever. So
if they win it all, does that change anything?
You know what? Win it all. We'll have that discussion at the parade. All right?
Deal.
So let's do it.